Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of the Couchcast.
First episode,
The
baby.
first episode. I am your host, Grayson, along with the fellow host.
Hello, my name is Jack. He's
Hey.
Grayson underscore specifically.
Yeah, Grayson underscore specifically on Twitch.
Jack no underscore.
Yeah, no underscore, not on Twitch.
I'm definitely not on Twitch now.
Definitely not. So today we wanted to do a bit of an episode where we're introducing ourselves and
Yeah, just kind of a get to know each other. I know him and he knows me, but you guys might not. So
yeah, you probably don't.
yeah.
Maybe.
And without knowing us, you have no reason to care about any of this or what we have to say. So we're just doing this kind of get over our own insecurities. It's
Yeah.
gonna be fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good time.
Welcome to Super Relatable.
Super relatable, everybody. So we kind of wanted to open up with a growing up with like kind of how we got introduced to video games and pop culture, because that's a lot of what we're about here. So yeah, we're gonna do that. So Jack, what was it like for you growing up? How did you come to start playing video games and getting into pop culture and things like that?
So both of us actually were homeschooled, and I had a bit of a different story with it. It just, my mom was always super anti-video games. She's
Yeah.
one of those moms that has reads the articles and kind of thinks they lead to violence and stuff. Not to hate on my mom, she's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
mine as well. Yeah.
But she has one of those kind of a bit of a complex in that regard, and is one that she'll still bring up with me when I go to their house. She'll be like,
Yeah.
bring it up to me. But so she didn't allow video games in my house too much. But my
Yeah.
dad was totally cool with them, and they
Yeah,
got
mine as well.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
They got an Xbox one day for free, just from a friend as like a gift, like an original Xbox. You know,
Oh, okay.
you remember those things?
Yeah, I do.
And they had like my dad is super into football, and he had the Madden games. He had like the NFL, like the
Yeah.
Madden EA Sports ones.
Uh-huh.
He played those pretty decently regularly, and I at some points would be able to play with him, and that
Yeah.
would have been when I was like, I don't remember, like 5 or 6. I want to say
Yeah.
earliest that I can remember.
Yeah.
And besides that, those are like the only games that I really actively played myself for the
Uh-huh.
longest time, because my mom was fine with those, because dad had them and they were just football games. I did have I remember actually there was like a game I had that came bundled with the Robots movie. Do you remember Robots?
Yeah.
That really weird movie with okay. So
So
in
you need Phil need, yeah.
yeah. So like Robots, he had the you could put the movie into the Xbox and you could play that weird racing game it had, and you'd all be like in these. You could be one of the characters, and they'd be in like these little weird, like a weird metal ball, kind of like a hamster ball, and you just be
Yeah.
speeding down the track, and you get different power ups and stuff. It was really random. I don't know how I even discovered that, but apparently it was just
Yeah.
in the movie disc, which was weird. So I grew up playing like really odds and ends games like that. One of my earliest games that I remember playing a lot and loving was actually The Hobbit for
yeah,
Xbox.
The Hobbit. I actually did play that, yeah.
What, you did? Oh man,
Yeah.
that's such an obscure one. It's like before the movies, or even before it wasn't even like related to Lord of the Rings. It was just its own graphics, its own kind of
Yeah.
story. It was really fun.
It actually was, yeah.
It was super fun. It had like the whole weird. I remember one part it was really stressful at times. There was like a part where you had to like climb. I remember a rope after over a giant flipping whirlpool, and I
Yeah.
remember that stressing me out as a kid so bad. But of course, we had the problem where I had to get these games from the library. When my mom let me, of course, and they'd be often scratched, and I couldn't progress too far into them. So it didn't. So a lot of times, I just for a while, my only real outlet to more popular games was YouTube, where I'd watch YouTubers
Yeah.
play through games, and that was back in the day where oftentimes they'd do complete playthroughs of the whole game.
Yeah, yep.
So when I was talking with my friends about video games growing up, I was talking about them, and I knew a bunch about the game, but it wasn't from personal experience so much
Yeah.
as it was watching and pretty much remembering everything that happened in like the playthrough. So I didn't start playing games until like by myself more regularly until maybe 3 or 4 years ago, when my dad got me a 3DS for Christmas, and that's when that's when my mom gave up. She was like, okay, I know I can't stop this. And then after that,
Yeah.
not long after that, I built my own PC, and she just knew that she couldn't do anything to stop it, so she just
Yeah.
let it happen.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you gotta let your kids go at some point. I mean, you gotta let them make their own discoveries. So my experience with video games, I've been playing since I could hold a controller. So my parents actually played games before I was even born, they had a Nintendo that they would play on, and I remember them talking about it, and they said there was this tank game where it was like top down, and you would go through the level, and they would always lose on like the final level, and they would play together. It's really cute.
Right,
Cute,
right. That's pretty cool.
And they played a lot, I guess. And I guess one night my mom had a dream like on how to beat the final level, and then she was like, "This is weird," and then she just quit cold turkey, and then like never played again.
Oh,
I
dang.
guess. Yeah, she just quit. She never. I don't think she has ever played a game since, besides like Wii Fit or something or Wii Sports. But
Whichever one's played.
then they got a Super Nintendo, and shortly after I was born, and I think my first video game of all time was Super Mario World. And
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a really good one.
One of the best games. I love that game. Nostalgia aside, I really think it's a extremely fun platformer.
I think it stood the test of time pretty well. It still looks so good.
Yeah, the music is great. Like the exploration in the game is amazing. Like there's so many secret areas and different ways you can play the game. Really, like there's like secret blocks that you can unlock in the game, and at some point you find out that, hey, I could maybe get around these, like not unlock the secret blocks, because basically the secret blocks would like make more platforms for you so you could get to certain areas.
Right.
So sometimes you could kind of work with the game's mechanics and use like a feather or a Yoshi or something to get to an area.
Wasn't that the game with Birdo too? Was Birdo in that game?
No.
Oh, was that
Birdo
later
not.
or later? I don't remember where Birdo was.
That might have even been on Nintendo. I don't
Mario
remember.
2?
It might have been. I don't remember where Birdo was, but
yeah.
My first game was Super Nintendo. I played Super Mario World, Mario Paint, Contra, everything. Then as I grew up, like my family stayed up to date with game consoles. I got the Nintendo 64 close to release. That was paired with Donkey Kong 64 and Diddy Kong Racing. So those were my first 64 games.
Yeah, right. Those are dope.
And then eventually we got PlayStation, Sega Dreamcast. Like we had a lot.
You had a Dreamcast?
Yeah.
Oh man, those are fun.
Yeah.
I only recently was able to get my hands on like older consoles.
Yeah.
I was able to get a Sega Genesis, and
Yeah.
I realized the only reason people ever got those things was to play Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah,
But
pretty much.
Vector Man was a sleeper hit. Vector Man was really good. I don't know if you ever
Yeah.
played that one.
I did a little bit a long time ago.
They were really good. Like they had really smooth graphics. They were just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
They had a couple of hits on there that people don't really think about, but were actually pretty fun. Like besides those ones, and I actually got that from my grandmother, which is
Really?
pretty cool. Yeah, I was like, I didn't even know she knew what a Sega Genesis was, and she probably doesn't. But she looked at it, it's like, oh, it says that blue hedgehog on it. I'll give it for my kids.
Yeah, this seems good. That's actually where I got my 64 is my grandparents. We were like in Target, and then they were like, "Hey, do you want this?" Or I think I asked for it or something. I don't remember, but I ended up getting it, and
That's cool.
So grandparents are cool. Some
They are.
Yeah.
They are. I think mine were pretty cool about that. And it's so my first was the Xbox, and yours would have been the like Super Nintendo.
Oh yeah, Super Nintendo was my
SNES.
first console. Yeah.
Yeah, those are really
and
good.
I owned like every console under the sun after that. Not everyone, but a lot of them, like PlayStation 2, Xbox, Xbox 360.
Did you own the Philips CDI?
No.
Yeah, it's probably a good thing.
It's probably a good thing. Any of the major console releases from like Sega, Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo.
Well, Sega kind of fell off with their consoles, didn't they?
They did, yeah. But the Dreamcast was the last one that I owned, and that was like that console was actually kind of revolutionary in the fact that like I think that was one of the first consoles to use disc, or it came out during the time of PlayStation 1, and
everything before that would have been cartridges.
Cartridges, yeah. So it was kind of a sleeper console. Like the capabilities of it were actually pretty incredible, but I think it was a little bit ahead of its time.
Oh, there you go.
Kind of crashed and burned.
Just like Sega did, with everything.
Yeah, along with Sega. I think that was their last console.
I think that was, because I can't think of anything past that Sega would have released. Well, since we've touched a little bit. And by the way, I'm a little bit sick right now, in case anyone's wondering. So I'm trying to keep my sniffling away from the mic, and I might cough if I start laughing. heinously. But I was thinking, I think one of my introduction. See, for you had been playing it since you were like a kid.
Yeah.
And you might remember your first one. You said to me in Super Mario World.
Yep.
For me, the first, I think I wouldn't count it as my first video game, but I definitely counted as the first video game that kind of had me, almost like a gateway game, you know, where it was one that let me know, like, hey, I can. These are games that my mom was totally fine with me playing.
Okay.
And my friend introduced it to me. It was actually Portal, the Portal games.
That's an excellent game.
Oh, I love those games to death. Those are like my favorite puzzle games.
Yeah.
Right? They were puzzle games, so my mom was fine with it. 'Cause she was like, "Oh, you're just solving puzzles, you know, smart work." And I was like, "Yeah." And so, yeah, got to get that IQ up. And then I went over to his house like every week. My sister had piano lessons at my friend's house, and I'd go over to his house with him to hang out with the teacher's son.
Yeah.
And I remember playing Portal like a lot. I got through the first one and the second one, of course. The second one I loved, and then so it was really cool because it was like a progression system. I'd play some with him at their house. An hour would run out, you know, and then my sister would have to leave, and then I'd leave with them, and I'd come back next week and I'd get a little further. And I remember that was one of the first major experiences I had with the game because it was just such a idea. It was such a, like a bonding moment for me and this friend of mine at the time. And then later I went on to buy like Portal. There's the first one on my PC, and I think I beat it in like really quickly. I remember I had everything down. I was like, oh, I still remember this stuff kind of. And even though I didn't have it exact, I just remembered how the game wanted you to think. Yeah. So like that, I think while it's definitely on like my list of favorite games of all time, like Portal or Portal 2. It's probably not in the top 5 for me, but it's definitely a really important one in my kind of history with gaming, definitely.
Yeah, so when I played Portal, it was on the Xbox 360, and there was this package called the Orange Box, and one of my friends had it, and I borrowed it from him, and the Orange Box was released by Steam, and it was...
I remember the Orange Box, actually, yeah.
It was a combination
Half-Life,
of Half-Life, Team Fortress, and Portal.
Yep. Okay, so it was Team Fortress, yeah.
Yep, and that was my first experience. All three of those games are amazing. If you haven't played like Half-Life.
Oh, Half-Life. It's a really important game.
If you care about endings, like don't play Half-Life 2. It was Half-Life 2 specifically, but...
Yeah, the first one was fine on its own.
Yeah, first one was good. Half-Life 2.
Really good
cliffhanger,
game, but cliffhanger.
And
for like 10 years.
Yeah.
10 plus years, actually. How long has that game been out?
It's been out for a long time.
A long time.
It's been a long time.
The first one, didn't the first one come out in like early 2000s, like maybe even the 90s?
Yeah, no, early 2000s, I think. There's actually quite a few Half-Life, like, side games, I think.
Yeah, like Blue Shift and Opposing Force. They had like a couple other side games on there, but like none of them were Half-Life 2. And then Half-Life 2 came out and it was like huge. Yeah. And I think, it's probably one of the most important games to ever come out, actually, Half-Life or Half-Life 2. Those games were super revolutionary for the time, I think.
Yeah, they really were. And I remember, actually, so going back to Portal, I remember playing it on Xbox. And then at some point, I got like this old, well, at the time it was kind of new, but laptop. And then I got Portal on that laptop. And then I had console commands. And then you could like use guns in Portal and stuff, and
all that cheaty stuff we used back in the day.
Yeah,
I remember using I remember when cheat codes were at like their prime in
Yes.
video games. Do you remember playing like Jedi? Do you ever play like the Jedi Outcast games or no?
Like
sorry, Jedi Knight.
Yeah,
like Jedi Knight. Jedi Knight 2, I think was Jedi Outcast, and then the third was Jedi Academy.
Yep.
Yeah. So I also really loved those games. I had a friend in Colorado who he like back in the day he legally gave me a CD that happened to have Jedi Knight 2 on it, and he gave it to me, and I played through it because it was one of the games that my similarly a crappy kind of laptop could play.
Yeah,
because the graphics wasn't very demanding at all, weren't I should say, and it was so like I remember having so much fun with it, but like the cheat codes, you could like get them. I'm pretty sure in the third one you get realistic saber combat. Which would just mean that whenever you like hit someone, it would just wherever you hit them, it would just sear their body off.
God.
So it was like the most brutal thing. You'd like hit their arm and they would just go falling right off, and they'd be like screaming. It was horrible, but it was really fun to do as well. And then you could get like I don't remember what the codes were. I remember one of the codes was Yoda jammies. I don't remember what that was for, but it was a cheat code just called Yoda Jammies, and I think the developers just had a bunch of inside jokes, and they would make those cheat codes. And that was such a huge part of video game culture back in the day. Like you'd get a game, you'd go to Google, you'd look up cheat codes, like something like IGN or like something like that would have a list of cheat codes you could do for like the Wii, Xbox, like the different versions of the game too. Oh man, those were like no one really uses those anymore. No one uses cheat codes anymore.
No games really do. And I actually remember doing that, like, because every game had cheat codes or something. So you go to websites like Games Radar or Cheat Central and all these
Games Radar,
these other sites, and you like look up cheat codes, invincibility and stuff like that, and you'd
I did that the Star Wars Force Unleashed quite a bit.
My first experience with cheats actually was on the Nintendo 64. There was a thing called Game Shark.
Oh right, Game Shark, yeah, I know.
It was this cartridge that you would plug on your game cartridge on top of and then put it on your 64. And then there's these list of cheat codes within Game Shark that you could turn on, like James Bond. You could turn on invincibility or something, GoldenEye.
Oh, yeah.
And it was...
It blows my mind. It blows my mind that like kids... There are some kids who might be just a little bit younger than me who don't know what Game Shark was.
Yeah, I mean...
Who like had never even heard of it.
Yeah, they only know what
so funny to
Fortnite is.
Yeah, they really know what Fortnite is too, since that's been making the rounds.
Yeah,
I don't want to talk about. I don't want to talk about Fortnite. I don't like.
It's actually a cultural phenomenon. It really is.
I respect what it's done. I will say that I respect what Fortnite has done. I don't approve. I can respect the fact that it's kind of an anomaly.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean it's a good anomaly.
Yeah.
I think it's a really annoying one. But
certainly, yeah.
It definitely, it swept the nation as one does. But you know what? Minecraft was a better cultural phenomenon.
Yeah,
by far.
I mean,
here's the thing: I think all the annoying kids that were playing Minecraft, on those servers, they've all moved on to Fortnite. So there's a renaissance coming back in Minecraft. Yeah. People are coming back to it because all the annoying kids who played Minecraft are moved on to Fortnite. So now the Minecraft is like kind of just empty comparatively. Yeah. So they can just play Minecraft to their heart's content. Yeah. And I was talking with my friend today about being like nostalgic over Minecraft servers that we used to play on frequently. And I'm thinking like, man, a lot of those are just gone now. But I definitely would return to Minecraft at some point if I part of me wants to, and part of me is thinking I should just jump back into Minecraft, and then part of me is just like But I also just can't. I also just like there's other games I want to play. I've got like 110 games on my Steam library, and all of them are downloaded on my computer. And I've probably played maybe 30 to 40 of them. Yeah. I've got so many more to play. I don't need to go play Minecraft again. I don't need to go back to 2012.
Yeah. So I will say though, the one thing that Fortnite did do is make gaming kind of a universal cool thing to do. Like when I was growing up.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, gaming was not cool. Like, you were a loser if you gamed. And I was actually made fun of quite a bit. Like, people would always tell me that I have no life or whatever.
That's, classic, yeah.
Yeah. And so then when I started to grow up, like, it never kept me from playing video games. I loved video games.
Yeah.
So I started to grow up. And then once, like, Xbox 360 came out and stuff, then all the people who made fun of me, they started getting gaming consoles. And I'm like, all right.
Now every cowboy has an Xbox up here. Like at some point, even if they may play one game on it, but they still play a game, and it's just it's like you can't. Nobody gets made fun of. I feel like people don't get made fun of quite as much.
Yeah.
Because or if they do, it doesn't hurt like at all because you're just kind of like, it's like no life. It's like it's the most creative insult I've ever heard. Yeah. Now, you see people on YouTube or Twitch making livelihoods off of this.
Yeah.
And it's like.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah, right? It's like, man, that must be really... Imagine being a bully in like the early 90s and being like bullying some kid, and then that kid turns out to be Ninja.
Yeah, exactly.
And then he's like at the top of the game.
Friend.
You got to be so mad if you're that guy. You're like, oh my gosh, this little twerp. You just got to be so annoyed. I'm annoyed at Ninja, and I'm not even I didn't even bully him. Like that guy's just a... Oh, I accidentally elbowed the cat in the face. No, but it is weird I think how gaming has kind of now been integrated into the popular culture way more than it used to be in just like the span of like 10 years. Even like it's actually insane.
Yeah. Well, and now it's more like me making fun of those people because they're so casual with it. Maybe that's
Yeah,
maybe
now
I
the
shouldn't say
gamers have
that.
actually turned around and they make fun of people who don't play,
Yeah.
who like play like one game and they're like,
Yeah.
filthy casual.
Casual.
Castle.
Yeah.
No, casual. I tried to say casual, but I don't have any words.
So, and like for an example, my sister's boyfriend was like trying to relate to me or whatever, and
Yeah, that's so funny.
and
Oh,
he
man.
was playing Apex or whatever.
I hope he doesn't watch this podcast.
I hope he does. He's like trying to relate to me or whatever, and you could just tell that he didn't know much about the game because
Yeah.
I like told him like he was like, oh, you play Apex, and I was like, yeah, I play a lot of Bangalore. I have this many kills, and at the time it was a lot of kills to have. Like if somebody saw you in the lobby, they'd be like, oh wow, this guy must be good. And then I told him that, and he just looked at me and was like, oh. And it was like, all right, conversation's over. Like,
Right, yeah. Oh, man. Although I think you definitely might have just dated us with that Apex reference. Because by the time, we're going to look back like a few episodes from now and be like, man, what was Apex? Because it's almost 100% dead at this point.
I mean, like it's still thriving.
Comparatively,
Kind
I
of
think, to
not compared to when it was released.
Mm-hmm.
The game devs,
they just kind of forgot that they made the game in the first place, I think, and they were going to update it, weren't they? They were going to like add new stuff to it, and then they just kind of didn't.
They have added things, but the problem is that there's so many issues with the game. There's a lot of bugs, hit registration issues, hitbox issues, and people are just getting tired of it. They really didn't. I don't think they. Well, of course, like the game exploded, so they didn't expect this thing to happen.
Of course.
There's all these players playing, and now they have to fix everything.
Yeah.
And
They didn't prepare for that, I don't think.
Yeah,
but
and
they.
if it weren't for the multitude of heroes in the game or legends in the game, I think it would have been more successful. But because of all the dynamics of each legend, you have more glitches and things like that. So they're
Just
definitely
play
behind it.
Paladins.
Just play Paladins,
Play Paladins, which is not Overwatch.
not Overwatch. It's definitely not.
Definitely not Overwatch.
Yep, my friends. I remember.
Paladins is actually kind of fun. I'm not going to lie.
So, my friends, they kept convincing me, just play Paladins. And I was like, no, it's an Overwatch copy. Because I remember it came out. I don't remember how long after Overwatch came out that Paladins was released, but I was super into Overwatch at the time. And I was like, no, I'm not going to play an Overwatch copy.
I was into Overwatch at the time. I loved Overwatch.
Yeah, and
Still have my
so
Overwatch shirt.
I caved. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna give Paladins a try. I'm gonna try it out. I won't, don't knock it till you try it.
Right.
And I was like, "This is Overwatch, dude. Like, it's a copy. Like, there's
Literally
so
just Overwatch.
many mechanics." And you might say, "Well, it's
Might as well just call it Underclock.
yeah." And
It would have been a similar. It would have been like close enough.
Fuck, yeah. There are things that are different.
Yeah. The
But-
girls are like way more hot.
Yeah,
I didn't want to bring that up, but then I decided I would.
I don't know. Tracer's
I don't know.
best girl.
No. In Overwatch? No. I'd say okay. Tracer's pretty cute, but I
Widow's
think
up there.
yeah, Widow's up there. I actually, I guess
The new
Tracer's
hero,
up there.
Ash.
Ash
The
is pretty. I
newest-
was gonna say Ash is pretty cute.
one of the newest.
I feel like there was another one. I was about to say I kind of like. I don't know. I think Sombra has a little bit of a hot topic vibe to her. You know that I
Yeah,
would have dug when I was
okay.
16.
Yeah.
You know, like a little bit of that to her. I think it was
The MySpace.
yeah. She would have the MySpace edge.
She actually has. Does she have a selfie?
No. Diva's
Diva
best
does.
girl. Diva's best girl. That's right. That's what I was thinking of.
has a
Diva.
selfie, yeah.
Diva has the selfie. Diva is best girl in Overwatch,
Play
in
the
my
game.
opinion. Even though she's a bit of a weeb, I think that's a perfectly reasonable quality in a human being. It's just like
She's a gamer.
she's a gamer girl. You know, she's like
Do you know that's a part of her lore?
yeah. She was
Yeah,
like
a professional gamer.
And one of her emotes where she just sits down and just plays games
or
on
sitting
them.
emote. Yeah.
Yeah, it's adorable. I love it.
Yeah. So she was like a gamer for like a professional gamer in Korea or something, and they
Korea.
needed soldiers to fly their mecha suits, and they're like gamers are the best option. They're so fit
They're so fit.
and ready to take on the world.
They're so fit.
Fly our mech's 19-year-old diva. I'm pretty sure she's 19.
Yeah, something like that. I hope she's 19. Sorry. So anyway, jumping back on the Overwatch lore podcast. No, yeah, I actually used to be super into Overwatch. It was one of the only online games that I'll play, and we can touch on that a little bit too. I don't play online games very much. I'm not an online game person because when I play a game, I usually like. I could either go either way, you know. I like games like Overwatch, Dirty Bomb, Quake. I like games that are somewhat fast paced when they're online. I don't want to sit there and wait forever in the lobby, you know. I don't want GTA Online.
Yeah, GTA Online was a mess. When
it was a huge mess. But like I like single player games because for one thing, I can pause it whenever I want. So whenever I get these horrible coughing fits that make me want to spit up gross stuff from my throat, I can just pause the game and go do that. And then like, you know, like but also, like, I like to have kind of a story delivered to me in some way. So if you look at my favorite games kind of list, it's like all of them, pretty much, yeah, I like all of them are single-player games. Yeah. Even though I might play Super Smash Bros. more than Ocarina of Time, for example. But I like the single-player games better as art pieces, I guess. Because I like to bring those to the table a lot more when I'm talking about that kind of subject. But I'm also not like against online video games. I just like when I want to play a video game, I normally just want to like open it up and immediately just start playing it. You know, I don't want to wait for I don't want to either wait to have wait on all my friends to join or wait on like a server to find or stuff like that, and have the game quality depending on whether or not my internet connection, which was a problem for me back in the day. But there's still online games that I love, or multiplayer games. Again, Overwatch, Dirty Bombs, one I mentioned, and Quake, fast-paced kind of arena shooter style games. I like those a lot. Gang Beasts, I like kind of like local
Gang Beasts is
local multiplayer games like Duck Game and Gang Beasts. Love those ones just because they're like party games. You can kind of just whoop them out like at a social event, play them. Like Super Smash Bros. Qualifies under one of those as well. Yeah, and you just have a good time. You know, it's just a fun time. So that's why I do think that it was surprising to me that I got into Overwatch the way I did. Yeah. Because I was just not a fan of online games. But I remember going to your house and then you'd be like leaving for some event and you'd be like, here, you can play Overwatch if you want. I'm like, okay. And I'd spend there like an hour and a half or 2 hours just playing Overwatch while you took a shower. It was good times. Yeah. It's good times back then. Yeah. I miss playing Overwatch.
Yeah, it's still fun. There's issues with the or there was. I think they kind of fixed it, but you play quick play and then you get placed against like super high ranked players, and you're like not even having fun because a lot of the times when I play, it's just with people who want to have fun and they don't play shooters. Like yourself.
That's what I want to have in a game. I don't want to play with tryhards all 90% of the time. I want to go into a tryhard game mode if I want to play tryhards.
Yeah, and also speaking of not being able to pause a game, that was like kind of a phenomena. Like growing up, your mom would be like,
"Pause the video game, like come
time to take out the trash or time to come eat," and you'd be like, "I can't, Mom, I can't pause the game."
Time to receive your daily whoopings.
You can pause the game, and you'd be like, "No, I can't."
It's like it's literally. How do I explain this to you, Mom? Because she's like, "What's the internet?" And then you're like, "You have to explain to them how online systems work."
Yeah, you're like, "Mom, you just don't understand."
Yeah, like you had to say that, and it sounded so lame. You're just like, you don't understand how this works. It's like
understand me.
It's like
with your hair in your eyes.
Yeah, with your the hair across your eyes. Tumblr post half written. You got your little diary open. Or sorry, a journal. We were both men. Now, what you didn't see because Tim just cut it out is me spilling water onto the couch. We're gonna go ahead and breeze past that and yeah, Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga. I think this might be the best game in the history of the human race.
I disagree, but
oh man, there's a huge there's a weird kind of like renaissance of whatever of like Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga as like kind of a meme. It rose kind of as a meme just like a year or two ago maybe. and it just became a huge thing. Like people make memes involving Lego Star Wars, and then
They're good games.
They're actually really solid games. I forgot about to mention those Lego games. I was actually allowed to play as a kid as well, because my mom was actually a fan of fine with me with Legos.
Yeah.
Legos were a huge part of my childhood because that was one of the only way to not only have a creative outlet, but they had like different themes and like stories incorporated into those. They either took licenses or they made up their own thing, like Atlantis or Space Police or something like that.
I think Lego Star Wars, LucasArts was involved in that.
Yeah. LucasArts they would have made like let me see, at the time that would have been around, and that was like a decently long time ago too.
Yeah.
Like what I don't even remember that came out.
Ago.
It was the first Lego video game was a long time ago.
I remember it was on the GameCube.
Did
GameCube was such a good console.
Was Grim Fandango out at that point, or was it after that?
I don't know.
Did Lego Star Wars come out before Grim Fandango? Because if so, then oh my goodness. Because Grim Fandango is a LucasArts classic. You ever played that one?
No.
What?
I don't even know what it is.
You've never heard of Grim Fandango?
No.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so it's a game. Grim Fandango is a game where you play as the Grim Reaper, I believe, but he's like a travel agent. So
What?
it's a puzzle game. Kind of, you go around, you interact with people. It's so funny. It's
Are you
just a
sure
funny
this game exists?
I'm not lying to you right now. It is a game called Grim Fandango. It sounds like a made up name that I made up just now, but it's
Yeah,
not.
it does.
We're gonna look it up after the podcast, and it's gonna be there. It was around. I remember this game kind of. This would be on the same shelf in my friend's house as Riven. I think there was one called, or like Myst. Do you remember Myst? These are like PC games that you could only like get on the
Myst
CDs.
A horror game?
I don't think so. It was more of a puzzle game, kind of, but it was like a weird.
Oh,
it was really weird.
Was it like a 2D puzzle game?
Kind of. I think you'd like go from like scene to scene. Kind of. They'd have like the screen in front of you, kind of like those old kind of exploration. I don't remember. It's been a long time since I've played Myst, but Grim Fandango was a somewhat challenging like puzzle game where you'd play as a Grim Reaper who was a travel agent, and you just visit these places, and it was really strange. It was a weird game, but it's a cult classic. It's a cult classic video game. I'll tell you that much. That's like the number one probably example of a cult classic video game I can think of.
So does he like go to people's houses and he's like, all right, solve this puzzle and you get to go on vacation, but if you lose, you die.
You die? No,
You're
I wish
die.
that was it. No, that sounds like
move on to the next life, buddy.
that's gonna be the new horror game I released. So it's gonna be the Return of Grim Fandango, the Grim Fandangoning,
The Grim Fandangoing.
the Grimminating Fandangoing.
You are Grim Fandango's brother.
No, oh yeah. Grim Fandang. LucasArts. LucasArts.
Everybody.
Back for another game. Excited people. Grim 2. Yeah, no, it was a really good game, but I can't remember for the life of me what the actual plot was, besides the fact that you were a travel agent of death, kind of. But it was like people already died. You gave
really
travel
weird.
vacations to people who were, and it was all like these weird graphics with like your little,
Wait,
you'd be a
you
little
gave
skeleton man.
vacations to dead people?
Yeah, I believe so. So it was afterlife vacations, kind of.
What?
Yeah, I believe. I can't remember entirely, but it was a great game. It's one of the, oh man, it's up there with like Abe's Odyssey of like weird games that came out that were just obscure but were really good.
Yeah.
You played Abe's Odyssey, right? Or do you remember that at least coming out?
I think so.
Or I think it's called Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey, or something like that.
It sounds familiar, but
Okay.
I can't lay a finger on
Another
it.
one of those kind of strange games that came out. But I knew about those because of a friend I had in Colorado who had, these were like, a lot of these were like PC games, like exclusively PC games. But back then, you'd have like them all on their little, PC like DVD case kind of. You have to put the whole discs into the computer stuff. This was a lot, I think, before major cloud services for gaming came out, like Steam. Yeah, so it was interesting. How did I get to Grim? Okay, yeah, so Grim Fandango. That was a game that I don't know if I would have been allowed to play, but I played it anyway at my friend's house when I got 12 or 13. I was like, I'm gonna play this game. It's fun.
So speaking of Steam, what do you think of the all of these other kind of online platforms? I don't know if you keep up with it, but all these kind of other platforms like Epic Games and
Good Old Games is one of them, I think.
Uplay and EA kind of trying to become more relevant in the market.
Okay. So like with with downloadable like cloud games essentially.
Yeah. So all right. Yeah. So basically,
I believe
like,
Ubisoft is one of those. Is that when you play? Is
Uplay,
Ubisoft?
yeah, Ubisoft is Uplay.
Okay.
So basically, like Epic Games is kind of like paying other companies to put their game, like take their games off of Steam and then put them on Epic. And
Right.
Epic Games is actually giving people who post their games on their app a better cut than what Steam does, because Steam is the online platform, and so Epic Games is kind of, I mean, they have the money to do it. It's kind of paying people to post their games on their platform, and supposedly somebody higher up in Epic Games, I don't know if it was like a CEO or something, I don't know who it was, but they said, well, yeah, if Steam gave their users a better cut, we would put even our games on the Steam store, but they don't. I don't know if that's true, or they wouldn't even make their platform or something.
That is interesting.
Something along those lines. So
I haven't kept up a whole lot with that. I am unfamiliar with that situation. But are you asking for me to like what I think of like these other kind of streaming services as like a whole?
So here's a situation that happened. Metro, the newest Metro game, was posted on Steam. People could already pre-order it. People did pre-order it.
Okay.
And then Epic Games came along, and I think they paid the developer to post their game on Epic Games and take it off of Steam. And so they did it. And
Dang.
And they had to give all the other users who pre-ordered it on Steam a code to get it on the Epic Games, I think.
Oh, that sucks.
And so people were like really upset about it. People were
That
really
is a little
mad.
bit rough, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's like in my opinion, Steam is the best one by far.
It's very good.
So like, if it's been working for like however many years, I'm not going to try to fix it. But I think something's always going to come along and replace it at some point eventually.
Yeah.
But I think what's nice about Steam is that it was made by, I want to say Valve, right?
Yeah, Valve is Steam.
Okay.
Valve.
So Valve, what they did, they made games, right? They made Portal, Half-Life, as we mentioned before. Those games were made by Valve. And then they did Steam. Once Steam started kind of picking up and stuff, they just never made any games again. It felt like.
You know, maybe we should just drive Steam into the ground so that they're
make
forced
Half-Life
to make
3.
games again.
Dude, I'm actually behind that a little bit. And
Everybody use Epic Games.
everybody use Epic Games. Dude, no. I would. I don't feel good giving Fortnite more money, but I do.
Yeah, that's fair.
I do. With Steam, like, the thing is, I think. I guess everyone they're doing this kind of same thing with movies. Is it like Disney's coming out with the streaming service? I think I've heard it's like going to be all their stuff, so they'll be taking it off of all the other platforms because they can do it themselves. This seems to be happening with more and more things.
Yeah.
That everything seems to be kind of going more sectionalized or compartmentalized, kind of into one area.
Yeah.
Like get all of Ubisoft stuff over here and get all of Epic Games stuff over here.
Yeah.
That means Fortnite and Fortnite Fortnite.
I think the main reason they're doing that is because they see how much profit and how much money it's bringing in. But once that happens and you segregate everybody, you're not going to make as much as they're making now. I guess
segregation is bad for capitalism. I'll tell you one thing right now. Let's let that remain in the episode. And that's going to be the title of the episode. Is that bad? Segregation is bad for capitalism.
Yeah, you're sort of like splitting people apart, and you know what? Some people don't like that, and so they're not going to go to your service.
Yeah, and I don't think I would either. If like I'm not gonna, I don't. Yeah. It's like I don't know. Steam has been around for so long and it's done so well. Like I don't like the only other game launcher thing that I would use. It'd be like that isn't for like one game. You know, like the Minecraft launcher.
Yeah.
You know what you're getting on that. You're getting Minecraft.
You're getting Minecraft.
That's about
what
it.
You want.
That's what you want, and that's totally fair. I think it's fair for like one game.
Yeah.
But I like the only other like game launcher that I would use is maybe Good Old Games. I don't know if you've used them before.
I've never even heard of it.
Okay, so Good Old Games. They usually I think focus on more of the kind of older PC games that you might not be able. So like System Shock.
Okay.
The original Elder Scrolls and the Elder Scrolls 2. Yep, and you can get I actually own all the Elder Scrolls Arena and Daggerfall on Good Old Games, and I own the other 3 on Steam because you can't get them on Steam. So like games like that where you can play like System Shock or like I think I have Fallout 3 on that one as well as Stalker, the Stalker series.
Okay, I remember those games.
Yeah, Stalker was fun. Those are kind of underrated, I think. But it's like it's called Good Old Games, and you get to play good old games. They don't really focus on new releases. They quite as much. They focus on getting those old, games able to run on systems. And I think you may be able to get some new games on there, but like relatively new ones like Starbound, I think, and like maybe Risk of Rain. I think I got on that.
Oh, Risk of Rain.
Yeah, the first one.
The first one, yeah, the side scroller one.
Yeah, but I use that for because I can get System Shock 2 on there, which is a great game. But then everything else that I can get, I'm just going to use Steam for.
Yeah.
And the obscure ones I'm going to go for good old games for.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good balance right there. I don't need any other really platforms. I've only used Origin. I've only ever used Origin to get to play two things, and that's Alice Madness Returns by American McGee, who did the first Alice game, which was again cult
Those
classic.
games are cool.
They're super dope. I want him to make a third one, but I think he's I think he on his YouTube channel he posts live streams of him working on the game. I loved those games. Those were so good. Again, cult classic games, but they were such a unique concept and they had the cool world to them. They looked beautiful. I love them. And then I also got Mirror's Edge Catalyst on Origin because I couldn't get it on Steam again.
Yep.
Because I got the first Mirror's Edge on Steam. I just couldn't. I was like, Origin, besides that, isn't really good. Why would I use it for anything else? I only used it for things that I couldn't get on Steam, which is the purpose. But there were only two things there that I couldn't get on Steam. Yeah. I was like, I'm not gonna use Origin. What am I gonna try to play Battlefront? I think we should kind of switch gears as well here and try to maybe kind of boil down our top 3 favorite video games since we've been on that topic for quite a while now. And then maybe movies as well after that. Do you want to go first or do you want me to go first for my top 3 in the video games department?
Top 3 is so hard for me because I've had so many experiences that I've thoroughly enjoyed.
Yeah.
It's so hard to pinpoint anything down. So this list is changing depending on my mood.
And maybe
I really can't pick a top 3.
And maybe the first top 3 that come to your mind kind of scenario.
So number 1 that I talk about a lot actually is Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door.
A true classic.
It's such a classic game, and
so
it's the worlds are look amazing. The music,
it's beautiful.
The music is
the writing is fantastic,
and even the writing for the characters, the dialogue is so good.
And I don't expect that from a Mario game. I don't ask for much from a Mario game, and they gave me good writing.
Yeah, exactly. And even the combat, it's kind of an RPG.
Yeah,
or like a Final Fantasy type combat. Was actually a lot of fun. The way they implemented it into the game was really good. And obviously, you had
instead of just attacking, you kind of had to, it was interactive a little bit more, where you got to actually
they had
move the stick back and do certain things.
Yeah. They had the same combat on not kind of the same combat on the 64 version, but they really really improved on it and made it more entertaining in the GameCube version.
I agree.
So Paper Mario Thousand Year Door.
Okay.
If you haven't played it, get an emulator and play it.
Absolutely.
I know emulators are bad, but
we know you use them. We know you use
everybody
emulators.
uses them.
Everybody uses emulators. Just own it.
Or you can pay
legally don't use an emulator.
Legally don't.
But for the sake of that, use an emulator. You can use an emulator.
Otherwise you're gonna pay over $100 for this game because it's an expensive game to buy.
And you're ripping yourself off not playing it, is what I would say.
Exactly, and ripping yourself off
from
if you buy
from a joyous experience. It is a beautiful game.
So Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. Man, I don't want to stick to just Mario games, so because otherwise I'd probably put Super Mario Sunshine on there. But I want to diversify a little bit.
Yeah.
Halo 3. I have so many memories with Halo 3 when it launched.
That is the definitive video game of the console generation. I think.
It is, and all of my friends were so psyched for Halo 3. Mountain Dew Game Fuel was coming out. We started buying that off the shelves like crazy.
Oh man!
I'm from a small town, and so they were constantly selling out, and we would just go and buy as much as we could every time they restocked it. So then we started doing all nighters with Halo 3, system links.
Mm-hmm. This was back in the era of when what are those called? LAN parties. This is back in the era of LAN parties of when you and your friends would get together.
System linking,
and that was a really big thing. This was before huge online multiplayer. It was a really cool thing back then to go to your friend's house, three or four of you,
and I miss
play
those
Halo
days,
3. Yeah, it was just a different bonding experience back then.
It
that
was.
kind of thing.
It was so fun being there. Like one of my favorite things that me and my friends would do is we would have all-nighters with Halo 3, and we'd play through the campaign on Legendary. And oh
yeah.
my god,
The true test of a man back then.
yeah, the true test. And you can never replicate that experience with an online game. Like you're never gonna get that sense of just being there with your friends,
Sticking it to the man with your friends all through the night, playing Halo 3 with an amazing soundtrack and honestly some of the best shooter controls I think on a console game.
Yeah.
But like outside of that and like maybe Doom are probably the ones that feel the best on a console.
they
And
feel
Halo's
really
always
good.
been good at that.
Yeah, and you had custom games in Halo. You could create your own maps in the Forge. Like it was so revolutionary, and
So it's a classic, yeah.
that game can never be replicated. Halo 3,
Not even Bungie can replicate it. They can't.
not
make
even
another-
Bungie, because
They made Halo
they
4
don't own
and
the
people were
rights.
like, whatever.
Yeah, and Microsoft will never make
Yeah.
Halo great like that again.
No.
Like
Reach was good.
It's
But
done.
I don't
Reach
think
was
that was-
good.
I don't think that was Microsoft.
I think
was it?
I think it was.
I don't remember, but I liked Reach a lot.
Studio 343.
Good story, but it wasn't the LAN party madness that was.
No,
Halo 3.
I didn't have the same experiences with Reach,
No.
but it was. It
No,
was a
Reach
pretty good game.
just made you cry. Like
Yeah.
Halo 3 made you a man, and then Reach made you a man that also cried a lot
Yeah.
because it was a really sad game to play.
Yeah.
Oh man,
So third game, oh, man, I don't know.
Tricky.
I don't want to talk about Super Mario World again.
Ooh.
So, and for my third game, I think we already talked about it, but I want to put Super Mario World on there because it just kind of brought me into gaming, and it was my first game, and I think it was kind of just the way the games that I played at that time kind of made me a more diverse gamer because I also had Contra, which was a side-scroller shooter.
Those
So I
running
got to
guns
play
are
a shooter.
Difficult.
Yeah, so I got to play shooter and I got to play platformer/adventure game. So Super Mario World 3, it's excellent.
Yeah.
The music, the levels, the environment, like
You said Mario 3?
I said Super Mario World 3.
Oh.
Whoops. Just the first one, because there's
Mario
not a
Bros.
third. There's not a third.
Super Mario Bros. 3 was a great game though.
Super Mario Bros. 3. But Super Mario Bros. 2 is the best.
the game of the century. My list is a little bit. I also try to take a little bit more of a weird route. I actually have this mapped out pretty clearly on my phone. I have a little note 'cause I like to do it sometimes of just 10, and even the higher ones than 10 are kind of shifty positions. But I'll go 5 and breeze past the first two really quickly because number 5 is probably Phoenix Wright, Trials and Tribulations, which I love. Phoenix Wright, great games. Very great soundtrack. Probably the best some of the best soundtrack in a video game I've ever heard. I'll leave it at that because I don't want to dwell on it too long. Number 4 is actually probably got to be Bloodborne.
Okay.
I had a hard time deciding between that and Dark Souls 3.
Okay.
But I love Bloodborne. And I even played Sekiro recently, and I love Sekiro. But the more I played Sekiro, the more I was like, I also just kind of want to go back and play Bloodborne because I love it that much. But then I'll get into the big 3. Number 3 for me has to be Hollow Knight, which is a little indie game that kind of swept the Metroidvania world by storm in 2017. It was my game of the year for that year. And the art style of it is just, I think, one of my absolute favorite aesthetics in a game. Just a little game where you're a bug in a kingdom full of bugs. So, and it's just it's a Metroidvania, so it's very much in that style. And I was blown away by it. It was like a $15 game, and it offered so much. I think it's criminally underpriced for what it is.
Really?
Yeah, actually, I think that the developers should be actually asking for more. But yeah, no, it's a fantastic game, and it's from a little company in Australia. I didn't even know they had video games in Australia, so that's kind of a funny thing that happened there.
I've actually never played that game.
Yeah, I think all their games are inverted. It's all upside down.
Yeah,
Anyway,
that's what I hear. And then when you play them in America, they're normal.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's because we exist. Now, number 2, again, Hollow Knight, fantastic game. I'd recommend it to literally anybody as far as video games go. It's really great. The next one, number 2, is BioShock.
BioShock?
I love BioShock. It is a lot. It's a lot of people's games go-to video game when they want to compare video games. When they are trying to prove that it's an art form, they go to BioShock. Heavy kind of game with a really interesting message and interesting concept.
Yeah.
Interesting, kind of world that it builds. It's really good, and it blends a whole lot of genres. A little bit of an RPG formula with a first-person shooter. And
is it specifically BioShock 1? Or?
Yeah, I'd say the first BioShock is specifically the one. I didn't put franchises here, or else it'd be a bit harder. The first BioShock, I loved. I think 2 was fine. I think BioShock Infinite was really, really good, but nothing really beat the first one for me. I loved the first one. And I'm probably on my way to replay it pretty soon before too long. And then number 1, I'm the most predictable human being on the planet, but Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. That the go-to answer for every gamer out there, like most of them, but for really good reason. It is an absolute masterpiece. It is a classic of its time. It has even on the N64 where the graphics are rough, you don't like those little literally edgy graphics where it's got a little kind of polygon sets.
Yeah.
Boom. 3DS, the remake. It's actually looks way better. Looks really pretty. The music in it is fantastic. It's the most memorable soundtrack of any video game I've ever played. It has there's just so much. I'm not going to spend much time on it besides like saying that it is fantastic, because I could dedicate a whole podcast episode to just Ocarina of Time on how good it is. And it is, I will say, though, it is one of the first games that I got on my 3DS that a friend let me just have. Yeah. Just let me have it, get it from me for Christmas. And I played it constantly, nonstop. I paused, I'd play it while I was in the car, driving with my mom to I wasn't driving and playing it. I was riding in the passenger seat, I'd be playing it while mom was dropping me off somewhere. And then I'd play it when I got back, when I was done. I just play it all the time.
All the time?
Yep, and then I replayed it several times as well. And I love that game so much.
Yeah, it's an excellent game. It really is.
It's a true classic.
Ahead of its time.
Oh, yeah. And it's still stood the test of time. It's still what most people consider when they consider the best video game of all time. So many people say Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
It's for good reason. It's amazing. So that's pretty much my take on there. I think we should shift over a little bit to really quickly just movies. We can bullet point these pretty quickly, and I'll start if you want. I'll start on this one. For me, it's just got to be number 3, Django Unchained.
Okay.
I like this movie. It's my favorite Tarantino movie, probably.
Tarantino's excellent director.
I only discovered it somewhat recently. It's a pretty satisfying movie to watch, I don't know. It's a really good one, really good Western stuff. Good acting. I will say Leo DiCaprio's performance in that. He should have gotten an Oscar for that one.
He should have, yeah.
It was such a good performance.
He's been snuffed a lot.
Yeah, that poor guy. But he finally got it, But I think such a good performance in that movie. It was amazing. Number 2, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. If you've seen it, There's nothing else that needs to be said about it. If you haven't seen it, I'm not going to tell you anything about it. Go watch it. It's a fantastic movie, especially if you're into gaming culture. It's a great, great movie. Super funny. Edgar Wright, great director. And that movie's... it's so rewatchable. I can rewatch it as many times as I want and not get bored of it.
Yeah.
And number 1 for me is actually going to be The Matrix.
The Matrix.
The Matrix is that's the first movie I remember that blew my mind as a kid. And it was I watched it with my dad. Yeah. And my little 13, 12-year-old brain was just like, what? I remember that was the first movie that really did that.
Slow motion.
And I think I'd seen Inception before that. But really? Inception, But Inception, I was like, okay, this makes sense. But I wasn't seeing the Matrix thing coming. Yeah. I knew that Inception was about dreams. Didn't see the Matrix thing coming. And that's probably my top 3 for me. What would you say that your 3 are?
Top 3, Lord of the Rings in every spot, baby.
Okay. No. That's cheating. No, I'm just kidding. No. That's actually a really fair bet.
Honestly, though, I would probably pair the Lord of the Rings all together as one.
Yeah. I couldn't put myself to bring Lord of the Rings in any of my spots just simply because I couldn't pick which one would be on the list. Yeah. I didn't want to put the whole series on there, but if I had to pick series, absolutely Lord of the Rings.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Above Star Wars for me, above
everything.
Indiana Jones.
Harry Potter.
Yeah. Harry Potter. More like Harry
Snotter.
Exactly. Lord of the Rings is amazing.
Yeah, excellent movies, and they for sure stand the test of time.
They age so well.
They do, and it was from a smaller, I think a smaller production company in New Zealand.
Yeah, Peter Jackson
Australia.
had only made like a couple really weird campy horror movies before that.
Yeah.
Really, he hadn't really done too much with this fantasy
Yeah.
stuff. And this guy nobody heard of was like took this movie that people thought was impossible to adapt to screen, and he did it.
And he did it, and it's so
impressive.
perfect. It's so perfect.
Everything about it is perfect.
I
in my
can't
opinion.
count how many times I've watched the movies, let alone done all-nighters where I watch all of them extended edition in a night. It's just my favorites.
Yeah.
I'm also going to copy and put Scott Pilgrim
Yeah.
on there. That
How could
movie
we
is
not?
just so good.
How could we not?
I can't count how many times I've watched that movie either.
Yeah.
I mean,
Scott Pilgrim is the theme song to of this apartment. Is that what I have to say? It's the theme song of all of us.
Yeah, it really is. And for number 3, this is kind of an odd pick, and when I go back and watch it, I have moments where I'm like, this movie's... But I'm going to put The Secret Life of Walter Mitty on there.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, so it's a Ben Stiller movie. I think he might have directed it as well. But anyways, it's about a guy who works at Time magazine, and the magazine is in the process of being switched to like all digital. They're getting ready to publish their last physical copy of Time, and Ben Stiller plays the role of this guy who's lived kind of a boring life. He's trying to get into the online dating scene.
Oh wow, that's
And
a competitive market.
He goes to write, or he has somebody helping him out. Somebody who works at the company help him out with like making his online profile for the dating site, and they're like, well, what have you done that's notable that you can put on your profile? And he's like, I don't really know. And then the guy asks, well, have you gone anywhere? And he said, I think I was in like an airport in Arizona once. And he's like just like lived a very boring life. And so like his job at Time magazine is him looking at the negatives for the photos that go on the magazines.
Right.
And so like obviously his job will be obsolete if they go all digital. And so I won't reveal any more else, but the music is really good. The cinematography is really good, and I don't know, it just makes me feel good when I watch the movie. So
That's cool.
And that's why you should watch a movie in the first place, right? Like you should enjoy watching it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's my
Fair
top
enough.
3 movies.
There you go. And one more thing before we kind of close out here, maybe something you discovered maybe this month, or something that you've just been maybe not even discovered, but something that you really enjoy and you want to recommend to people. Maybe this month, something you've been getting into. Anything at all? Oh, I just smacked my microphone. I'd say, and it could maybe even start to this like this year. For me, I've really been getting into D&D recently, as you know, and like tabletop RPGs. And I have to recommend Critical Role, which everybody I'm sure already knows about. But like if you don't even know what D&D or Dungeons and Dragons is, basically Critical Role is where they play Dungeons and Dragons, and you can just listen to these guys, and they take a bunch of, oh my gosh, Charlie. Our cat's smacking stuff around. They take a bunch of really talented voice actors. It's directed by, it's DM'd by Matt Mercer.
Yeah.
Maybe my favorite voice actor. He's in a ton of video games, you know. And he's a fantastic dungeon master, and they do like such a good job with like their the players are such good players. They're so it's a really funny. They have so many funny moments, but like especially like the combat is very interesting and well done. And so I'd say D&D as like a whole I've been getting into recently. But if I had to specifically recommend like a specific thing from it, I'd recommend Critical Role. It's really good. And if that's too mainstream for you, Dark and Dicey is also another really good one. That's on the D&D official channel, I believe.
Something that I've been getting into is actually a YouTube channel called it's by a guy, and his name is Matt Devalia, I think.
Okay.
And basically he is a minimalist. He's a videographer, and so he kind of shows off like his minimalist lifestyle, where he he only has like 7 shirts, right? Mm-hmm. And they're all the same shirts and like the same pairs of jeans. And so like
Dang.
he wears these clothes and then, oh, I'm out of laundry. I got to do my laundry because I've already worn these shirts, right?
Yeah.
So like he lives this very simple lifestyle in order to be more organized. And so like
That's cool.
his dishes, like he only has 1 spoon, 1 knife, 1 fork,
Dang.
like, 1 plate, that kind of a thing. And like his channel is really, really good. He has really good podcasts, for like self-help. His last 2 podcasts, one was on like, I think like more of a mental health thing where he was talking to like a psychologist or something like that, or somebody who had heavily researched like depression and anxiety and stuff like that. And then he had a podcast on money that was really good. Like I highly recommend you guys go look up Matt Davalia and check out like if you struggle with money at all, or you're looking to start up your own business or something like that.
Okay.
It's a good watch. And one of the books they talk about in the podcast is a really, really good book on finances. So yeah, that's kind
cool.
of what I've been watching recently.
That's really cool. Yeah, that's pretty. That seems like a pretty decent place to wrap things up for this time. This year.
Yeah.
Good time here.
First podcast
Ever.
under the belt
This is the first actually podcast on the internet.
on the internet ever.
Yeah. And so that's pretty cool. That was a pretty
Yeah.
cool accomplishment. I wish some more podcasts would kind of like come out though.
Yeah, me too.
Because it's kind of lonely over here being the only podcast.
Yeah, I wish there was at least one.
Me too. Like at least one that was not a true crime one.
Yeah.
Those don't count.
Those don't
Those
count.
just already here. True crime more like bad time. Am I right? 'Cause
Yeah.
they're not very fun.
They're not very fun.
Except cereal.
Poo time.
Poo time.
You got him there, Tim, the editor.
So anyways,
Oh my gosh.
thank you guys for watching this episode.
Yes.
If you enjoyed it,
Subscribe to the channel and
Yeah.
follow Grayson on Twitch at twitch.tv.
don't do that.
Grayson _ on
Don't do
Twitch. Do it.
Subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and YouTube lingo.
We love you guys. Yay. Positivity.